first. Okay, just making sure.
It's a sea serpent, turned into stone by a wizard,
If you say so. What happened to its head?
beheaded by the same wizard.
Considerably intelligent, and her powers of observation are enviable. But she has no ambition, no focus.
In her defense, she's still a teenager.
Barely.
Damn! Also, like, half the reason I like this game is it basically tells the story itself.
I'll say this, he's well suited to physical labor.
That's a nice way to put it.
Fitz spends most of his time alone in the greenhouse, but I heard he's been breeding experimental flowers in secret.
Whoa, scandal.
I just wonder if he's getting restless. Poppy has remarkable musical talent. She could be famous, wealthy even, if she wanted to.
She'd probably have to leave Tangle Tower first.
Quite. I find her rather embarrassing, little more than a spoilt child.
Penny must be at least 25.
27. Just makes it worse. Professor Pointer's a respectable astronomer. Keeps himself to himself. What?
We're just surprised.
That was the most polite you've been about anyone. It's a big stone dais.
Biggest one I've ever seen. First one, too.
The people here are surprisingly materialistic, considering how sheltered they are.
Materialistic?
Growing this fruit simply because it produces a gemstone-like material. For what possible purpose, other than financial gain?
You're speculating.
What would you do, Grimoire, if you could grow valuable stone straight from the earth? This is a potential murder weapon, is it not?
I don't know. I don't think the murderer would leave the murder weapon just lying around.
I think you'd be surprised as to what people leave lying around. I admit, it's powerful. Freya was a talented young woman.
Someone even liked it enough to take a photo of it.
Now, we don't know why they took the photograph, do we? Perhaps they just wanted it for reference. One of 3 statues depicting the same creature. This one is wearing headphones. Perhaps they belong to someone who likes music.
They're not headphones. They're earmuffs. For blocking out sound.
Perhaps they belong to someone who doesn't like music. Some breed of amphibious humanoid. Potentially bipedal. Although none of the statues show the creature's feet.
I guess we'll never know.
Who's that?
Not sure. It doesn't really look like anyone we've met so far.
Strange.
People.
A photograph of Freya. Could be important. Do you also have a pile of leaves as a clue?
Oh, not yet. Did you see some suspicious leaves?
Where did you find this?
Do you have any theories about where this might have been?
Or who might have had it.
I have several theories, but they are my theories, and I'm not going to share them. 3 birds, 1 cage. What makes them worth keeping cooped up, I wonder? Would they not be happier flying free?
But then they might fly away from Tangle Tower entirely.
I wonder if they would. And you consider that important evidence, do you?
Yep.
A book from the library. One of hundreds, no doubt. What makes this one special?
It's about birds.
Yes, I see that. A diary. Have you read it?
Not yet. It's locked.
And you haven't attempted to force it open?
That would be cheating.
These figurines remind me of a case I once solved involving a possessed doll. Turned out to be a bit of a smokescreen, as these things often do.
Your life sounds fun. Grimoire, why don't we ever have fun adventures like that?
Are we not having a fun adventure right at this very moment?
These people really are ridiculous, aren't they?
Okay, the one that's gonna take the longest.
What is your opinion of Tangle Tower?
Oh, it's impressive. Elaborate gardens, unique architecture.
Must be worth a fortune.
Why do you ask, Fifi?
I am the heir of the Fellow family and the Remington family. This makes me the sole beneficiary of Tangle Tower.
That's quite an inheritance.
They can't make you do anything, Fifi. If you don't want the house, just tell them. Or just sell it. Who cares?
You sound like her. I require facts. What do you know?
Well, we know Freya was stabbed with a knife, and then she fell...
Correction. She was stabbed with something. There was no knife found at the crime scene,
Apart from the one in the painting.
which as a mere abstract representation does not count. Nobody has ever been stabbed by the concept of a knife. This belongs to Poppy. In fact, she owns a number of cassette tapes.
What happened to it, though?
It has been left underwater for an extended period of time.
Right, but why?
I do not know why.
Is she laughing?
This photograph is my favorite photograph.
So, why'd you rip it in half?
That was not me. Besides, it was not a half that was ripped off. It was only a third.
Who is that in the photo?
I'm quite sure that I have no idea. I believe Freya was attempting to communicate something through this painting.
Any idea what it was?
I am not the person to ask. All I see is a blood-red mountain with angry storm clouds brewing above it. As such, I cannot ascertain any meaning from it whatsoever. The red paint on the brush is not paint. It is blood. Same for the palette.
So Freya added the blood to the painting herself?
Or blood got on the brush and palette some other way?
I do not know the answer. The statue itself does not interest me, but I do wish to know about those symbols on the harp. Have you deciphered their meaning yet?
We're working on it.
We are?
Curious. Freya is normally highly skilled at capturing someone's likeness, but in this painting, she has accidentally made Flora look quite young.
I think she was just being kind.
Why is that kind? Anyway, I'm far more interested in what Flora is holding. I performed the test on the red paint myself. I discovered that it was in fact not paint, but blood.
What made you want to test it in the first place?
It was Poppy. She told me she thought the painting looked like a bloody knife. I told her not to be ridiculous. My mother owns no such knife. But then I noticed that the color was slightly too dark, and the substance itself was overly viscous.
You noticed that just from looking at it once?
Of course. That belongs to my mother. I think she must be fond of eggs. There are a number of egg-shaped carvings to be found in the garden and in the Grand Hall.
Yeah, what's the deal with all the eggs?
Some people just like eggs.
Fifi, did you test the red paint in this pot?
Yes, I did. I discovered it too was blood, not paint.
A whole pot full of blood?
Not a whole pot. It is only partially full.
Yeah, but still. Doesn't that freak you out?
No. In fact, it may be considered rather reassuring. The gramophone belongs to Poppy, but I believe she gave it to my mother, and my mother often loaned it to Freya. Or maybe it is the other way around.
When did it get cracked?
I cannot pinpoint it exactly. All I know is that it must have happened sometime in the last 2 days.
Okay.
A wooden carving of my father, made by my father. Although, now that I look at it, I do not understand how he was able to paint the red parts without any red paint. It is a model of Freya, made by my father.
A model of Flora, you mean?
And a man with a beard. And a little red and white creature.
Why would my father make a model of Freya? This belongs to Professor Pointer, does it not?
No, I don't think so.
Who else would own such a pointless little telescope?
It's a telescope.
Oh, yes. It has a telescopic lens. It can only be used for looking at things that are far away. The fruit here has a unique chemical makeup. It makes them
This is
completely
so
pointless.
interesting.
Unless you wish to cut it down and sell it as a precious stone.
It's not edible.
Depends
On what?
on the structural integrity of your teeth. That blade,
It's a troll for gardening.
it is. A book. My book.
And what's in it?
Pages. What a mess. Penelope should tidy up after herself.
These weren't dropped by Penny. They were dropped by birds, I think.
My argument stands. I am scared of birds.
Why?
It is an irrational fear. I have no suitable explanation.
Oh. What's wrong?
Earmuffs do not go on statues. It is a flower. It reminds me of something, but I cannot say what. This photograph.
Do you know who was reading this book?
It belongs to my mother.
And she left it in the library?
No, my mother has not been in the library for some time. Now this is interesting. Where did you find it?
In the astronomy tower.
And yet, it does not concern the field of astronomy.
Nope.
In fact, you could even say that entomology is the exact opposite of astronomy.
Yeah. You could.
I would not say that, however.
Oh. You wouldn't?
No, it would be quite naive. To study science in any field is to study the connections between all matter in the universe, living or inanimate. Why did Poppy leave shards of glass all over this statue?
What makes you think it was Poppy?
The statue lives in the music room. Who else would it be? Who is this her to whom the message refers?
Well, I don't know exactly.
Then how can I meaningfully evaluate this object? Next!
There's something about Felix's painting supplies. Something suspicious.
Let's ask him about it.
There's something about that diary. Something.
Let's ask her about it.
There's something about the image of something.
Let's ask her about it.
There's something about something.
Let's ask her about it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna start with you. We're already here.
Is this your diary, Fifi? We found it in your bedroom.
Of course it is mine. Ridiculous question.
Why is it locked up like that?
You seriously require an explanation. Very well. A fairly common concept, the so-called secret diary, is favored in particular by girls between the ages of 10
So, there are secrets written in here?
and this particular diary is unused.
It doesn't look unused.
It's somebody else's diary.
How could you arrive at that conclusion? It is kept in my bedroom. It is mine.
We need a clue to compare with the diary. Something to prove who the original owner was.
That's not it. That's not it.
Let's take a closer look at this. This blue book is somewhat similar to the secret diary, which proves it belonged to Freya. Almost. Maybe just change one. This blue book is somewhat similar to the secret diary because it was stolen. Nope. This blue book is somewhat similar to the secret diary, so it shouldn't be in the photo. That's not right. This blue book is the same thing as the secret diary, which proves it belonged to Freya.
You were hiding Freya's diary in your room, and you kept it locked, too.
Why would I do either of these things?
Freya didn't want anyone to see personal secrets within Freya's diary. Almost. Maybe just change one thing. Fifi didn't want anyone to see personal secrets within Freya's diary.
Is this true, Fifi?
I know Freya was your friend, but if you're trying to hide something,
You did not know Freya, so this might be difficult to understand. She did her own thing, in her own way. By concealing Freya's written accounts, it is simply my intention to preserve her innocence.
Innocence?
might be easier if you just let us read the diary, Fifi.
Very well. I will open it. However, as you read it, please remember, Freya was the most kind and the most wise person I have ever known.
All right, Fifi unlocked the diary.
Finally. What's in there?
Okay. It's back in the flesh this time. Was it me? Did I let it out? Maybe I should rip up the bottom thing.
This little microscope thing, you said you used it to search the greenhouse.
And this would make perfect sense, if you knew what my client had asked me to find. Of course, I still have no intention of disclosing that information.
You're such a tease, Hawkshaw. Don't worry, we already worked out what you're searching for.
You're not as hopeless as you look.
Thanks.
So, that's what you were looking for in the greenhouse? This beetle?
Surely even you can understand the logic of it. The greenhouse is home to a great many insects. The gardener could have easily kept the beetle hidden in there.
Well, Fitz said you questioned him, but didn't actually search the greenhouse.
He is not exactly the type to appreciate subtlety. He simply didn't notice that I was using my microscope.
What do you reckon, Grimoire?
I know for a fact you didn't use the microscope in the greenhouse. It's not a microscope at all.
All of a sudden, Detective Grimoire is some kind of expert on microscopes.
handheld microscope, according to Fifi, uses a telescopic lens, so Hawkshaw lied about it. I'm inclined to believe Fifi
God.
when it comes to stuff like this.
Hawkshaw,
This is so
why
fun.
did you lie about owning a
I
telescope?
love that I can just tell the story for me.
When you were a child, what did you aspire to become?
A detective? Naturally.
Emperor of the Galaxy?
I wanted to be an astronomer.
Really?
I harbored a desire to understand the secrets of the wider universe. A fool's errand, to be sure, but a seductive one. At 15, I decided instead to apply my intelligence to the world around me. And so, I became a detective. But the yearning for elusive knowledge is a powerful force. I tried to keep it with me.
Sorry, but we're way off track. What's the deal with the little telescope?
A memento from my childhood. Little more than a toy.
Why did you bring it with you?
When I discovered that it was Professor Pointer who had hired me, I dared to consider it something of a planetary alignment. I had
Aw.
hoped he might sign my telescope. An extremely childish indulgence, I admit.
I never would have guessed.
Hold on. You're admitting you didn't use it in the greenhouse then?
Correct. As it happens, I have no need to search the greenhouse to such a degree. Professor Pointer doesn't consider the gardener a suspect in our theft investigation.
So, who is your suspect?
Things have become complicated. My lead suspect is your murder victim.
Oh, I know you, bitch.
So, about this paint we found in your room.
Nothing suspicious about it. I used it to paint, obviously. Totally normal thing to do.
We never said it was suspicious.
Come on then, out with it. What exactly are you accusing me of?
It's not your paint pot. Did you take it from somewhere else?
What on earth? It's definitely mine. I even have proof. Look, the lid matches the ones on all my other paint pots. End of discussion.
That's not the end of the discussion.
We need a clue to compare with Felix's red paint. Something to prove who it actually belongs to.
Oh, I know this one is easy.
Let's take a closer look at this. Freya's red paint pot was stolen and replaced with Felix's red paint pot, and broken by Felix. Almost. Maybe just change. Freya's red paint pot was stolen and replaced with Felix's red paint pot, but Freya noticed what has happened. Almost. Maybe just change. Freya's blue paint pot is exactly the same as Felix's red paint pot, but the lids were swapped to hide it. Nope.
What do you mean no?
Freya's red paint pot was stolen and replaced with Felix's red paint pot, but the lids were swapped to hide it.
That red paint is from Freya's supplies, not yours. Swapping the lids doesn't hide what you did.
Why are you bothering me about paint anyway? And none of this is connected to your murder.
Oh, buddy.
This red paint pot contained no red paint by Freya several weeks ago. Nope.
I mean, that's close, but okay.
This red paint pot contained no red paint before Freya used it to paint Flora. That's not right. This red paint pot had been emptied of all its red paint before Freya used it to paint Flora. That's not right either. This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood after Freya used it to paint Flora. Almost. Maybe just change one. This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood and then locked away. Almost. Maybe just change one. This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood and emptied out onto the floor. Almost. Maybe just change. This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood by Freya several weeks ago. Almost. Maybe just change.
I tried all of them.
This red paint pot was somehow filled with
I thought I
blood
tried that
before
first, but
Freya
okay.
used it to paint Flora.
Oh, that's definitely something. Right, fine. Here's the story. I was busy working on a project when I suddenly realized I had run out of red paint. There was a certain amount of time pressure, so I politely asked Freya if I could borrow hers. Just for a little while, you know, perfectly reasonable request.
But she said no.
I tried to explain why I needed it, but she didn't seem to care. So, well, I took Freya's red paint pot and swapped it with my own empty one.
You went into her room?
Not my proudest moment, but it's just paint. I didn't touch anything else.
And the paint pot you left behind was definitely empty?
Quite. I have absolutely no idea how it got blood in it, if that's what you're asking.
Why were you in such a hurry to get a hold of red paint anyway?
I was trying to finish this in time for Flora's birthday. I needed red to paint the final details.
Could you not have just used a different color?
Out of the question. It had to be red and white.
If you managed to finish it, why haven't you given it to Flora yet?
Well, I decided against it in the end. After what happened, seemed a bit insensitive.
Have you seen this book before? Do you know who it belongs to?
I really thought she was gonna say something there.
You haven't seen this yet, have you?
It's a little model of you. Who were the other people next to you?
So, this painting, specifically that knife in Flora's hand.
Yeah, it's creepy. But we didn't find a knife anywhere in the room. So what's going on?
It's not a knife, it's a feather.
It's not a knife. We need a clue to compare with the painting. Something to explain what that knife shape actually is. Let's take a closer look at this. The painted knife is actually just a feather. from an ink dip bird.
It's definitely the right shape, but the book's not in color. The thing Flora's holding in the painting is red and white, specifically. Is there anything to suggest that the ink dip bird is red and white too? This little thing? I don't understand why Felix would make a model of this bird as part of a gift for Flora. And come to think of it, why would Flora be holding a feather in the painting anyway?
The ink dip bird was Flora's pet, so she kept a single feather to remember it by.
She kept the bird as a pet,
Yep.
and it died?
Maybe it flew away.
Flora spends all her time staring out the window.
Either way, she kept the feather. I think it was pretty important to her.
All right, so she was holding the feather while Freya was painting her. But where is it now? You'd think she'd keep it somewhere close by.
Yeah, I think she does. Normally. This is where Flora usually keeps her feather.
That we opened it. It's empty.
Mm-hmm. Completely empty. Flora? She's pointing at something in the corner of the room.
It's just a pile of books. They're not... Wait, there's something tucked inside this one.
That's all the statements collected. Do you and Poppy get along?
Nothing. Shocker. Grimoire, what could you possibly be writing down?
Oh no, I gave up making notes ages ago. Now I'm just doodling in the margins.
Rather ugly, isn't it, as far as statues go? Years of wind and rain have not been kind to it either.
Do you know what it is? The creature, I mean.
It's connected to the Remington family history in some way, but I can't recall. These drawings are quite precious. I'm surprised Flora let you see them.
What happened to the bird? Did it die?
I don't know. Seems likely, though, doesn't it? My daughter Fiona, our little burgeoning genius. You've met her?
We did. She's going by Fifi these days.
So I've heard. I asked her some weeks ago, what's wrong with your real name? She told me, get this, she wanted a name with an even number of syllables. She makes up the strangest things when she's under pressure.
What makes you think she made that up?
I happen to know the real reason she prefers Fifi over Fiona.
Oh yeah?
It's what Freya called her. Quite the character, eh? A fellow member of the Order of the Crimson Cloak.
Is that a real thing?
No, I just meant because we both wear, you know, red capes of a sort.
Has she questioned you yet?
If you call that questioning, she seemed bored by everything I had to say. I heard on the grapevine Supposedly, Hawkshaw is searching for some rare item. Something called the Golden Beetle. Honestly, it's probably a bunch of sensationalist rubbish.
You reckon?
Quite sure. There is no treasure called the Golden Beetle.
How do you know?
Because I would have heard of it. Fitz? I don't trust him. He's slippery. Never commits to anything. Brain like an onion.
An onion?
Did you two have an argument?
No, but my daughter doesn't like him at all. And I trust Fiona's judgment entirely. She's a very vigilant young woman. Percival Pointer. Good old... So, what do you reckon? Is he the murderer?
I don't know, maybe. We still need...
That is not information we're willing to share at this time.
I'm just saying, keep an eye on him. Holds on to a lot of bitterness, does old Pointer. Just because he's always struggled to support his family. Slightly pathetic, really.
And how long have you known him?
Over 35 years.
Childhood friends? Rivals?
Don't know if I'd do him the honor of considering him my rival. Penelope seems to have really settled into a groove. She struggled a bit when she was younger. Always a little estranged.
How come?
Well, she was mostly raised by her uncle, and he really only makes time for his own daughter. Now, of course, she's bringing the two families together through her marriage. It's a nice gesture, heartfelt, but futile. Poppy's a good friend to my daughter, always has been. I think they get on well because they're so different.
Different like how?
Poppy is, she's quite introspective, good with feelings. Fiona, not so much. Still, Poppy always seems to be sulking about something.
The heavy, heavy price of emotional intelligence.
Jesus.
Well now, that is most definitely none of my business. Quite possibly none of yours either. Yes, very nice. Where is that bird of Flora's? It's been a while since I've seen it.
It's that bird. But these must have been drawn at least a year ago. Oh, how sad.
Okay.
How sweet. I think it's kind of cruel to keep 3 birds in one cage like that.
Does Penny not let them out to fly?
Oh, she does. She must do. But I don't think they're allowed to go far. Penny can be a little protective. Never seen that one before. Was it in the greenhouse?
No. We found it in Penny's room.
Right. Eavesdrop what the stars are saying. Earthly tether, slowly fraying, floating helpless from the
God, I love
worst
her, man.
of jealous hunger, selfish thirst. Take a moment, kneel and meet the flowers growing at your feet.
Interesting, okay.
Did Freya draw these?
Yeah. There's a note in the back, too.
She was even closer to Flora than I realized.
I imagine you don't visit the astronomy tower too often, do you?
No, but I still see Pointer, sometimes. He's always curious about what I'm growing in the greenhouse. Asks me about the birds, too, and insects. He's pretty clued up on his evolutionary biology.
I didn't think there was much overlap between astronomy and biology.
Fifi doesn't like me.
What did you do?
I'm not sure. If you find out, maybe you can let me know. Penelope is my fiancée.
Don't take this the wrong way, but Penny doesn't really strike me as your type.
She's not who she pretends to be. People think she's... well, they make assumptions.
And how's the relationship doing recently?
Good. It's good. Poppy and I are friends.
Oh, I can buy that. Dark clothes, blue hair, an average of 3 words per sentence. Oh, you're like 2 peas in a pod.
She's very kind, and she has an interest in plants. Unusual flowers, mostly. I've been teaching her.
Right.
Is something wrong?
Jump on your her thing and then talk to her one last time.
Name, Poppy Pointer. Age, 19. Profession, Apparently Poppy has defaced my notes. Under profession, I had of course originally written pianist, but she has crossed that out and written the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Name, Percival Pointer. Age, 57. Profession, none.
I'm pretty sure he's an astronomer.
Oh yes, of course. How uncharacteristically forgetful of me. Name, Penelope Pointer. Age, 27. Profession, ornithologist. Likes, birds. Dislikes, insects. Notes, Penelope is very beautiful. I have never had very much in common with her.
Oh, baby girl.
Freya drew these,
Yeah, I think so. There's a note on the back.
but she never showed them to me.
Well, I think it was a gift for your mother, like a private thing between Freya and Flora.
Interesting.
Does Flora still own that bird? Do you know?
Don't think so. The drawings are from a few years ago.
I see.
We met Felix, your husband. He's one of our suspects, and he seems pretty suspicious if you ask me. So, if you want to stick up for him, now's your chance.
Nice try. We spoke to your daughter Fifi. She's some kind of super intelligent scientist. You must be proud of her.
Do you and Fitz have anything to do with each other? Other than your initials? What do you know about Penny?
I can't really imagine those two being friends, to be honest.
You never know. You know the guy in the other tower? Weird astronomy professor guy?
Can you see him from your window? Can he see you? We spoke to Hawkshaw. I assume she didn't get anything out of you either. I bet that really ticked her off.
Just gonna go through all these.
What do you think of your husband's hobby?
Do you have any hobbies?
Do you recognize any of these feathers?
This is a photo of Fifi, isn't it? Your daughter? Do you know anything about these birds? Or birds in general? Do you know anything about this beetle?
I like these drawings, Flora.
Is there a reason why you wanted us to see them? Oh, wow.
What?
It's a big empty space.
Why was he in here?
The door's unlocked. Finally. It's so relaxing. I might just stay here.
Oh, shall I go finish the investigation on my own?
That'd be great.
Ah, a little water feature.
It's making
Wonder how
me
it's hooked up. It's a big glass tube filled with water.
I genuinely don't know what to do. I guess, I should end it here until I figure things out. Thank you so much for watching, whether it be on Twitch, NotSimi64, or YouTube, Let Me Stay 97. I didn't think me talking to everyone would
There are
take as long
weeds
as
in
it
there.
has.
And sand.
And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!